Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JailBreak Africa, the podcast where we are trying to liberate African minds for entrepreneurial success. We talk about business stories and how Africa, as a global economy, unified to be the United States of Africa, is affected by how we think and how we design our solutions to our African problems, and always trying to think Africanly about African problems. And of course, I'm joined by the chartered vendor. How
Steve.
are you?
Captain Steve.
Yes,
I'm okay.
Captain Steve. I'm okay as well.
Super fine.
And we are now at the end of January. You said
Already.
January is not easy.
Already, January is not easy. I don't know if February is going to be easy. I would think like February is actually much difficult.
February.
It's got only 4 weeks.
February, I think February can be commercialized just like December. December we've got Christmas holidays and stuff, and people buy Christmas gifts. February is Valentine's Day. You can easily make money.
There's a holiday on the 21st. Yeah, you can easily make money. Events.
A lot of them. And I'm particularly excited for this February because of the book launch.
The book launch.
So
it goes to Mjolo. Yeah.
That's very interesting. And guys, I don't want to lie to you. This is one book launch that you don't want to miss out on. Exactly. And by the way, it's free, right?
It's free. It's free.
Free. So come through at
HICC. We have to vet you before you enter.
So we'll do the vetting process when you RSVP that you want to attend.
Exactly.
Yeah, please don't gate crash. Just let us know in advance so that we can make arrangements for you. We don't want you to come and then you end up complaining that it was not given a chair. We need for us to know that you're coming so that we can provide the chair for you. So it's going to be happening at Rainbow Towers Hotel in Harare on the 14th of February. From 2 down to 4. So please do come through. Sales goes Mjolo. It's going to be exciting and interesting. So please do come through. And talking about February, you said February might be a bad month. Why?
It's short.
But it's a leap year. It's a leap year. We've got an extra day from the previous years.
Even that, 29 days is just too short. But what I'm actually surprised with us Africans is I've worked with the Chinese.
Okay.
Have you ever seen my Chinese brothers and sisters? It's when they're working, they do 7 days a week. In most of the countries, including your Dubai's, your UK's, they operate 24 hours a day.
Yeah, those guys can work. But you know what? Over and above the Chinese work ethic, I put Indians on top.
Indians, exactly.
Indians, they're serious. They're serious. They're serious about making money. The Chinese, I like their work ethic, but I don't like how they overwork, but then they pay themselves little. I don't understand the dynamic. I thought more productivity would mean more income and also sustainable remuneration for the people who are putting in the work. But with the Chinese, it's the opposite. You overwork, more productivity, more income, but then they pay you less money. I'm sure you've seen videos circulating on social media with our fellow Zimbabwean brothers who work for Chinese companies that are based in Zimbabwe, and the Chinese were failing to pay them. And I saw one which was gruesome, where they actually had to beat up the Chinese guy. I don't know whether they got their money afterwards or they got some lawsuits. But either way, I'm still confused as to why they operate like that. But well, they're hardworking people. I was going through some headlines. Then I saw Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Always on top of the headlines. So this time around,
my guy,
he's coming through. You like Elon Musk,
I like
right?
Elon Musk.
So
I was actually listening to Elon Musk when I was coming at work today.
Wow, an audiobook.
No, I've listened to his the audiobook I'm done. So I was just listening to his interview on YouTube. And
do you know that Elon Musk, when he speaks, his speech is not so fluent. He stutters.
Exactly.
And his stuttering, it's not a disability. You know, when you know too much about the subject and then you're trying to comprehend, you always stutter because you think if you explain, maybe I'm getting in too deep in the subject. Let me try and water down the explanation a bit. And then you think maybe I'm leaving out too much detail,
Exactly. In the South African accent.
Yeah. And I stumbled across a headline which said Musk announces wireless brain chip implant. Did you know that he has been working on a brain chip? So the theory behind, he's saying there are certain disabilities that are people are born with.
If you're blind.
Exactly. So he was saying he managed to figure out that it's usually a neurological disorder which just needs a few nerves to be fixed, and they need fixing from the brain. So he was like, okay, what if I make a chip that can correct that disability from the brain and implant it in a human being?
Exactly.
So people thought, as usual, they thought Elon Musk is crazy, he started and whatnot. And now he has eventually developed it. And they did trials on a blind pig, and it saw for the first time in its life. So now he's saying they've now announced the wireless brain chip implant.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I like about Elon Musk? To me is when I listen to Elon Musk, when I read about Elon Musk, I see endless possibilities even in my life. I drew inspiration from him because he's a guy who says when he doesn't give up, number one, he risks. Number two, is that guy who says when he wants it, he goes for it. Whatever he says, he makes sure that it's done. And the other thing is, he's not a soldier who is going to drive his soldiers into the battlefront. He's always leading. So when he says, let us sleep in the office, he's also doing that. But back to that subject is, what I think is, yes, I think God has gifted him through him to actually also gift others. Just imagine, even talk of Starlink. We're waiting for these guys to put cables in our rural areas. Imagine it, Watsomba. We're still waiting for cables to be run so that you can access Wi-Fi easily. But right now, boom, Elon Musk. And also, remember, these guys were using boosters for our phones as well. So it simply means when there's no electricity, there's no network in our rural areas. Yeah. But he came up with this easy solution. Boom. You just need, even in the middle of any forest, you can access Wi-Fi at more than 150 megabytes per second. Wow. So imagine. So even what he's doing right now, to me, I think is a blessing to humanity. If people are not supposed to even criticize him, people are supposed to even support him, because we will not have anyone like that probably in the next 100 years.
Okay, so let's zoom back to his invention. Would you get an implant? Let's say, Elon Musk is always coming up with these bullshit things. And also, remember, AI is, what if they say they've managed to put an AI engine on that chip, so you can now think and respond faster because your brain is now AI powered?
That's what you are saying.
Yeah. Would you go and get the chip and put it in your head? Would you?
Yeah. When I've got a disability or when I've got a problem.
Let's not go to the disability, because clearly you're not disabled. Yeah. I'm talking about, would you go to get the chip so that you are AI powered? If I ask you what is 3 million times 235, the square root of that, you can easily say 700, giving out an answer so fast.
But the question is, who is controlling that engine now?
Exactly. Those are some of the
because the question is, who is controlling my brains now?
Of course, it's going to be the people who invented AI. What's the name of the company? ChatGPT, OpenAI.
So is indeed, that's where Elon was also saying, to say AI can become so dangerous that his prediction is AI is going to turn against humans.
Yeah,
because it's getting more powerful than human beings. So he's saying, what about if AI takes over this world?
Highly possible.
It's highly possible. That also supports his theory of saying, that's why he's actually fighting to have life in Mars. Because he's saying, what about if this world is taken over by AI? Then they just explode the nuclear bombs. Boom! We do no longer have all the world. The world is turned into water.
Yeah, I also have some bit of reservations as far as that is concerned. Because if you look at the costs of launching, when they are launching their Falcon, whatever, when he's launching his spaceship, the money, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, like in the first world, they're coming up with a lot of inventions. And another invention is, for you, when you've got leukemia, you go through chemo and radiotherapy. Then after that, when they fail, and when chemo actually fails, they have to do what is called a bone marrow. And the bone marrow, it's ranging from 30 to 40,000 in India. And in South Africa, it's around 100,000. But do you know that in America, they now have a technology which they will put a system in you which will help you identify all those cancerous cells. But that operation, it's $1 million.
quite heavy. It's quite heavy on the pocket.
It's $1 million because they're saying in few years it would have been adopted by donors. They need to be cheap. So they're coming out with a lot of technology. But as usual, remember, as even Africa, we're hesitant when we. But my question is, yes, we've got the people like Elon Musk. He's African, yes, but he's now American and he's doing this in America, being supported by the American system. Because I don't think he was going to get this kind of support whilst he was in South Africa. But my question is to us Africans is, why are we not playing along to that rhythm which is being played these days? Like if you look at, I think one of our guys who invented, was it a generator which can work without fuel and battery?
It's
Maxwell Chikumbutso.
Maxwell, yeah. I was going to get to Maxwell.
But I heard that we were busy chasing him away.
And remember, we also have a guy who's set up a car manufacturing plant, Mureza. He's from Zimbabwe.
It's him. It's him also.
It's Maxwell.
Yeah, exactly.
Well. Wow, interesting. So my question now is, as JailBreak Africa, we are trying to consolidate Africa into the United States of Africa, right? But why don't we celebrate our own?
No, we've got a disease called PhD,
Poo him
down syndrome.
And how do we fight that? Because honestly, what I've noticed is, I think I heard a conversation where somebody was saying that the way Africa is set up, it's in such a way that the moment we develop a talent, it immediately escapes out of Africa and go to Europe or Asia because it gets better recognition there and better remuneration. Do you know, I was surprised one of these days. I don't know what I was looking for. Then I saw a headline that says, the UK black millionaire strive Masio. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
is he not Zimbabwean?
I also saw that UK is actually amongst the UK billionaires.
Yeah. You know what I did? I clicked. I thought they wanted to say UK based Zimbabwean billionaire.
UK.
He's now part of the Great Britain.
He's a UK billionaire. Some of the few black billionaires in
that we have.
UK.
So how do we lock in talent?
The issue now is the world is also fighting against Africa. Because I believe that, I think at Berlin conference, when they were busy dishing out Africa, colonization of Africa, you still remember that history.
From history, yes.
So I strongly believe that even up to now, they've now noticed that these guys are even easy to colonize. You don't even need to take over and put your Union Jack in Zimbabwe. What you just have to do is you can turn them against themselves because it's easy. Remember, even when we won the independence, I think there's a guy who was joking in UK saying, if we knew what you wanted after independence, we could have actually given you independence way back. Because why? We thought that you're fighting for something big. We're just fighting to be included in the system. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So the issue is about what I strongly feel is us as Africans, we need to start teaching our children once they are very young. Jealousy, that disease of saying, I don't want to be united. Even as families, we are not united. You know, I believe that the Europeans are very clever and the white people are also very clever. Or actually, the foreigners who came into these countries are very clever. If you notice, the Europeans, they share the same religion.
They do.
They share the same religion. Hence, even their families are better united than us. Look at the Indians. They share almost the same religion. Hence, they can stay 15 of them in one house. Look even at the Chinese. They share the same religion. Hence, they can actually live as many as they are in one space. Look at us. How we are divided. Religions, I mean. So, what I believe is when I take your culture, when I take your religion, I've taken over. That's what I believe, what actually happened in Africa.
Yeah, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Do you know that it's very difficult for someone coming from Africa to get a job in Japan? They are not so accommodative because they always cite culture preservation and culture dilution.
Exactly.
They don't want people coming into their country to dilute their culture. So they're a bit stringent when it comes to giving out visas for permanent stay in Japan.
Exactly. So what we think that taking over the economy, taking over the politics of the country, it's what makes us better. But what I think is when you take the culture, when you remove the culture of a human being, you're done with him. Because like right now, what's our national dress?
The first lady launched.
Who is wearing that?
Very few people.
It was a good initiative.
Yes.
But and they're even laughing and say, no, that's not our national dress.
Yeah, true.
You get what I mean? So until we're proud of, look at all the powerful countries, even in Africa, look at Nigeria. It's powerful because they still have a culture to talk about. They still have a national dress. They still have a national language. They still have even their deep accent, which they're actually proud of. Right now, as I'm speaking to these people, they want me to nose. They want me to speak like like a British. You get what I mean? They want me to speak like a Zimbabwean.
Yeah.
When I start speaking like a Zimbabwean, my first days on TikTok, they would even laugh, putting the laughing images and say, "Hey, Shona accent." Yeah. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But when Burna Boy is singing in deep Nigerian accent, she's winning a Grammy. If she was singing like Michael Jackson, if she was going to sing like an American musician, was he going to get a Grammy? No,
he wasn't. Yeah.
So what people don't know is identity. If you notice right now, you are paid a lot of money. You are better off when you're exported as a musician when you're playing mbira rather than when you're playing a guitar.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
When you play your mbira, they'll say you're demonic.
Do you know that the infamous mbira band Mbira Zenare, I used to think they faded.
No,
those guys, they made big money.
They made big money.
There's a sharp appetite for that kind of music in Australia, in Cyprus, and in those Asian countries. So that's where they've been performing, and some of them are even now based in Australia.
Yeah, like you
can literally get a visa just because you are good at playing mbira.
Exactly, like your security and I think that was the leader of Mbira Zenarira, if I'm not mistaken. So this is what I'm also saying. As human beings, we have lost identity, we have lost our culture. Hence, there's nothing meaningful which can come from Africa when we don't have our roots. Until we can go and say, who are we? Right now, if you notice, Steve, you got married. When you're getting married, you do go through your traditional marriage. Huh? That's the first sign of wedding.
Rora, yes.
It's a wedding. Even nowadays, it's not an official wedding because there's now a cake and the Rora squad.
The Rora squad, yeah.
After that, after 1 month, you are forced to go to church and
to
also
do a white wedding.
Yeah. So aren't we confused a lot?
Very confused. I think I was having that same conversation with my wife, and we were discussing. So on our Aurora day, we merged the white wedding, the Western wedding, with the African one, where we had the Aurora squad. We even had some nice deco and everything. And then we said we are not going to do. Why are we repeating the same process?
Exactly.
And it's costing us money even.
But we are doing that, I don't know in the name of what. But it's because we are confused a lot. The other day, you want to be called by a totem. If you are going to call someone by totem, you say, no, that's not my totem. My totem is something else. Because I'm now a Christian, so I'm no longer have my totem. I don't say being a Christian is bad, but I'm also saying, I believe in the Bible. There are stories which are for Christianity. And there are also stories which are for a Jewish culture. And there's a thin line now. Because all this is included in the Bible. When you talk of circumcision, was it about the Jewish culture? Was it about Christianity? You get what I mean?
Yes,
so the thing is, I think the dilution now is the one which caused us not to be united even on family level, national level, a community level, because everyone is always thinking like, okay, fine, you go to UFI, I go to Yada, so we cannot.
We've created a distance.
We've got a distance. They say, see, because we are coming from different churches. If you're Pentecostal, if I'm Apostoric, we are coming from different religion. So even that, how can we now unite Africa for us to also think like what Elon Musk is doing? Look at wonderful ideas which are brought forward by the likes of Steve Jobs. Amazing. Without the likes of Steve Jobs, we would not have an iPhone. Right now, we know of Elon Musk, who is actually even overdoing it.
Yeah, he's on overdrive. The guy is on overdrive. I like when he says, hey, it's not really easy. We are confident we can do it in the next 3 years. You know, the guy has got so much confidence. But bro, bring back the conversation to do with culture. Now, I wanted to put it in the context of businesses. What time do you start work?
Personally, I start work at, like today, I arrived at 6:10 in the morning.
6:10. Then what time do you finish?
I usually finish at minimum 8 p.m.
Right. So what if the repetition of that will become a culture? Yeah, it's most likely going to spill down to your employees, and then it becomes a company culture.
It's now a company culture.
Right. So can you speak into the impact of company culture dilution by bringing in maybe say certain employees, and then they bring their previous culture? We used to do this, my former boss, then they bring in a new culture. Can you speak into how a company can become disunited or ununited based on culture dilution?
Yeah, like I'm very hesitant when someone is coming from the government.
Okay.
And they're saying I was a civil servant and they want to join my team. I say it's a no.
Why?
Even if you pass or if you tick all the green, and I'm like, from government, they get to work at 9. And before you know it, they're preparing tea. They're making tea.
Yeah, first thing when we get to work, tea.
Then tea. Before you know it, it's now 10 a.m. Yeah. They need another tea break. Then after that, boom, 12:30 lunch. And they come back at 3:30. Before you know it, 4 o'clock, they're going home. So what time do you work? If you notice, even our fellow, my electricity brothers in the council, what they do, the city council, before they start work, they start by cooking salsa. You see? And how do you even wake after eating a lot of salsa? You see? So that culture is very, very important. So to me, when I notice that your company which you're working for was weak, is a weak culture, I'll never recruit you. I'll rather recruit for someone from where they're actually tough. There's a tough environment. Culture, yeah. There's strict culture in terms of production, in terms of productivity. I want those guys to be part of my team because I know that they were trained. Whatever I'm going to teach them is not going to be alien. Like just yesterday, I was interviewing a young man who was working for an insurance company. And he was working strictly for 100% commission. So what they would do is they borrow you money for the first 6 months. And they ask you to actually retain that money. So it simply means that you're working for 100% commission. Right now, if you're going to talk of 100% commission to someone who's not used to, they feel like
that's the reason.
No, they feel like a dictator and narcissistic. You get what I mean? That's why they think that this guy is a crazy guy, is a Hitler guy. So what you've actually said, company culture, if at your workplace you're always late, most of the times if you fail to dilute you here, you dilute us. So what will make sure that as much as the first days you come here, we'll baptize you with our own culture. So that's because the reason why we are where we are today, I strongly believe personally that the hours I have to put into my work, whatever lifespan which I have right now, is not enough for me to get where our vision wants to go. So like if you notice the likes of Elon Musk you're talking about, those guys, they can spend the whole day in the office. They can sleep literally in the office. They don't leave the office without finishing their tasks. But us, we've made it a point that we leave offices because a certain time has arrived. You get what I mean? So the problem is, there's a guy who works at, I think it's T.Half Acre, who actually even said, if you want to be rich in life, don't be paid because a month is finished. Don't be paid because a week is finished. Be paid because you've achieved certain milestones. Productivity. If you want to be a millionaire easily, you are supposed to be paid because you've finished certain tasks. So even when you're employed, instead of being offered a salary, say, what about if I achieve this? What percentage will I get? If I achieve this, what percentage will I get? Unfortunately, our Africans, they want comfort, like affordable life. They want security more than they want risk. That's why everything, when we're thinking of something, we're always thinking of what about if it goes wrong? What about if it goes correct? What happens?
True. And you know what? I like the commission setup. And borrowing from our manufacturing industry, most of our manufacturers, they give their employees what they call a production bonus. So this is synonymous to paying for productivity. Yeah, they pay production bonuses. So what it means is...
Are they still paying?
Yeah, they do.
They're fond of their basics.
It's just that the money, but it's there. But it's just small. So I was now thinking, when we go back to the public service offices, do you think would get the same attitude at the passport office if they were paid based on the number of people they've saved?
Currently, go to the passport office. See how they're actually... Do you know that the passport office in Zimbabwe is now different from any government department? Because why? They're being given incentives to say, if you also reach this kind of passports, you get something. Because remember, the passports are being paid in US dollars.
Yes.
So there's a partial incentive because everyone is gaining from the bank. Remember, CBZ is involved in the deal. They're getting $20 from each and every passport. So it simply means they've got an incentive.
So they have
Hence, when someone has got an incentive, they'll push. But when you're saying you give them a bonus because the year has ended, to me, honestly, I will never give a bonus because the year has ended. Never. In my lifetime.
Yeah.
Or even if I sit on a certain board, I would rather resign when they're giving a bonus because the year is ended. Because I believe that's why Africa is where it is today. We reward people for doing nothing. Not only from the grassroots, but even at the top.
Wow. Give me a second to digest that.
Yeah, people are being... Because it's November. You want your bonus. For what?
What did you do in the
Why can't we have systems which says every month, if I do well, if I give you more money, give me my bonus within that month? Yes.
Yeah, makes
then the company grows, the government department grows. Also, you also grow as a human being because you're not limited in terms of earning.
Very interesting. And then also, another thing that has always fascinated me is how we herald technologies from other countries, then we don't talk much about our own technology. Do you know we've got a very interesting technology? Do you know that in Africa, across all Africa, every culture, whatever, I don't care the country, every culture, we've got a technology of walking in through closed doors at night. There are even technologies to fly. You know, right now, if we were to go to South Africa, it can take us, it's a 45-minute flight, right? Or 1 hour, 15 minutes, depending
5 minutes with our flight.
But with our technology, you are there, Baba, instantly.
But the question is, can it be given to an ordinary man? And also remember, the word witchcraft is also there so they can also debate and say we can even do it better than you guys.
my
probably what we have is from Chipinge, whereby I can strike someone with lightning whilst there's not even rain. You get what I mean? But what I'm saying is, I strongly believe that Africans are capable, and we have got our own people. Like what I've said, we've got our Chingomas, Daniel Chingomas of the West World. He tried to do a helicopter, but he was never given a chance to fly it. You see? I don't know if it was a positive or a negative. We also have the people like Maxwell Chikumbutso. Where are they? We need them. That's the same even in sport, whereby we see these young people, we see our likes of the beast, Mutawarira. They're now being heralded in South Africa, but at home, they are not even known. You see? So the thing is, our supporting system is Africa. If we cannot support our talent, Europeans will always steal our talent. Americans will always carry whatever is there. But I strongly believe that most of the people who are even running the tech companies, you'll be surprised that they're coming from Africa. Most of the people who are running these Googles of this world, these Amazons of this world, they're coming from Africa. But we don't have a system which can support our own talent. Hence, our talent is easily squashed.
That's very true. Do you know, as you were speaking, I'm actually laughing to realize that there's a country in the French, I think it's France actually, where their national team, the entirety of the national team, they're Africans.
The Africans. Because I think there's a debate of saying Africa has actually won World Cup once in 1998.
Yeah.
Because that's I think it had only 2 whites.
You see now.
And everyone was black.
You see now.
And from Ghana, Ivory Coast. So this is the challenge now. So if us as Africans, we are going to say, how can we now compete at a global stage? And another thing, I just want to raise this point. I saw a summit. Huh?
I know it.
Yeah?
Please go on.
It was saying Italy, Africa Summit.
And please tell us, where is it happening?
In Rome. And who is going there?
Every
African.
But why?
I'm like,
why do we have to attend an Italy-African summit in
Rome?
We have over 55 heads of states from Africa
in Italy
who are not. They are not going to see the Presidium of Italy. It's going to be the ministers. Probably.
Why?
We are burning our resources, taxpayers' money.
So it simply means that we have used flights. The South African Airways is in Rome. The Zimbabwe Airways is in Rome.
It's there.
Zambia is in Rome. Malawi is in Rome. What about if we should have just sent our representative from Africa?
In fact, it was more cheaper for them to come because their entire delegation can fit in one aeroplane.
Exactly.
Then they come. Then
they can meet somewhere in Addis Ababa.
We've got an Africa Union, very beautiful
complex. Then they can come and start telling us what they want us to do.
I still don't understand.
We've got US Africa Summit, Russia Africa Summit. Now there's this new. I think it's new.
Yeah,
Italy.
It's the first.
We are repeating the same mistake.
And also, I think it's they're preaching a gospel of hypocrisy. You know, they're the ones who are advocating for climate change.
Exactly.
How it's cheaper for you to not to fly, but probably use the train. But there they are. They want 55 aeroplanes flying at one time to attend the same conference, and then they tell us about global warming and climate change. Are they really concerned?
They don't care. They actually wish if Africa can be eliminated, but unfortunately, us as Africans, we don't see that.
Did you see how the Libyans are suffering after the death of Gaddafi?
Exactly. Because Gaddafi was wanted in United States of Africa. And what he was trying to do was saying, how can we be powerful as Africans? But unfortunately, traitors, they always come from within.
Yeah.
He's now dead and Libya is burning. It has never been the same place after his death. So all that, when it's coming from the political side of things, it also even affects the business side of things. Because I think even for our leaders, it's time to actually question some of these summits. To say, what are we going to really get from these summits? Are we going to get something, or are we rather better off with developing our own projects here? And what I also think is the dependence syndrome of saying we're always depending on foreign direct investments. Why can't we start depending on our local investments?
Yes.
Why can't we start even pushing our local companies to actually produce more? Because this actually issue of depending on these guys, we've tried this and this and this over and over, but we are expecting different results. They always be the same results.
True.
Because there's no way any European country would wish Africa to be better than Europe.
Do you know, as you were speaking about the issue to do with foreign direct investment, I actually realized something that in terms of how we manage our investments, I remember I was talking to one fund manager who has got a company that does, it's a stockbroking company, so they handle accounts on behalf of clients on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. I asked him, why is the rate spinning out of control? I think this was sometime in 2022. Do you know what he said to me? He said they are a group of investors who are now pulling out, they are liquidating their positions from the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, and they are foreign based. So there is money that is being converted into their initial currency of investment. So what I then realized is that we have a tendency, our own government, our own systems in the making and policies, they screw over local investors to the advantage of foreign investors. So what it means is, if you are a foreign investor and you inject $1 million USD in cash, they would rather ban local investors and convert some of their money to say 50% forex and 50% local currency, just to give back this investor who put in $1 million.
Exactly.
Which is why people are now banking with NMB, the National Mattress Bank. I would rather put my cash in a mattress than in a bank.
Exactly.
Because the next thing I'm going to wake up and they're going to tell me that the $1,000 that I put in, I'm now getting 20% of it.
RTGs.
You see now.
It's not RTGs. So
yeah.
I think it's a story for another day.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can talk and talk and talk. You know, JailBreak Africa is here to stay. We're going to have these difficult conversations, these necessary conversations, because I believe that change comes when we have the most uncomfortable conversations. That's when we begin to excite change in our minds, in our attitudes, in our behaviors. This is JailBreak Africa. Please subscribe, share the link with your friends and family, and also do engage with us in the comment section so that we know what you are thinking, because some of the conversations that we have, we actually borrowed them from the comment section. So please come through, and thank you for the support. Until next time, I'm out.